Edmonton.
Check it out. His name is Prince.
Oh, he was a top name in the heyday of much music, riding the cutting edge of pop culture every day in front of Canadian audiences. He is former VJ Bill Welychka, who joins us to talk about his new book, A Happy Has Been. Bill, that feels a little tongue-in-cheek. You're still on the air. You're still working right now. Why did you choose A Happy Has Been as the title of your book?
Thank you for the opportunity, Kent, by the way. I miss Edmonton. I lived there for a year. Nothing but amazing things to say about the city of champions, that's for sure. But I've been asked for decades to write a book, and then I thought about it, and I thought, okay, I'll do something. People only know me, for the most part, from a specific period of time, from the 90s up until the mid-2000s with much music and much more music. So to a lot of people, I fell off the face of the earth. If you hadn't followed my career, I've still worked in television. I never stopped, still working in TV now. And so it's a bit self-deprecating, which I approached my whole life by being. I don't take myself seriously. I take what I do seriously, but as far as my persona in the broadcasting industry in Canada, I'm a has-been for some people. There are some people who have followed my career from day one, and I truly appreciate it, and they follow me now. There are some people here in Kingston that only know me from a morning show that I do here on TV, and they don't know about a music journalism past. So it's a nod to all those fun years, I guess. And then I bring it up to date, of course.
All kinds of fun years. So Madonna, Cher, Kiss, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, all people that you've interviewed, all going to come out in the pages of this book. Do you have any specific highlight when there's so many stars that you've talked to?
There's a lot of perfect circles in the book, which means artists that I grew up to idolizing. They were on my high school in my high school locker, on my bedroom walls, on patches on my jean jacket and buttons on my jean jacket, and had a chance to interview and bond with, and in some cases hung out with for a couple of days. Every single one of my idols. I did an interview recently with Jan Arden talking about the book, and what a Canadian treasure. I reminded her, and she recounted the time that we were in bed together for an interview. And the gel started smoking on the light, and then it set off the fire alarms, and maintenance people rushed over to the room to see what was going on. They thought it was a fire. That's just Jan Arden and I in bed with the cameraman shooting us. What does that look like?
Yeah, what does that look like? I want to ask you about Prince, because as self-deprecating as you are, he paid you a pretty high compliment, didn't he?
Yeah, he spent part-time living in Toronto, and before the broadcast, we quickly met in the hallway, bumping. Come up to me. I was going one way, he was going the other. I might tear up a little bit talking about Prince. He says, Bill, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I sort of took me back a little bit, and I'm going, pleasure to meet me. I'm thinking, man, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I realized that he must have watched much music and much more music during his time in Toronto. And so when it came time for this live interactive broadcast where he played and where he sang and where he got a chance to be interviewed for a lengthy period of time, I found out that he requested me. And man, what a huge honor, and just another one of many honors I've been blessed to have in my career. And I'm not pandering when I say a great year in Edmonton that I had. Edmonton was very important to me. I got to a point in music journalism where I just wanted to try something new. Edmonton took a chance on me to host a morning show on TV there, and I learned a lot, and it was the first step in more than a few years of reinvention. And I've only decided to look back in the past 5-6 years of my life with reverence about what I did in the past.
Well, we're glad that you're looking back and putting it all in the pages of a book. Bill, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a peek into exactly that, A Happy Has Been. Congratulations on publishing that book and what has been a fantastic career. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again soon.
I hope so, Ken. Thank you so much, and miss you, Edmonton, for sure.
Oh, we miss you right back.
From Global Kingston, this is Global News Morning.
A Global Kingston personality could soon be featured at your local bookstore. I have said many times before that the viewer is the most important part of the equation. Without an audience, people on TV wouldn't have a job. I have learned and offer this. Anyone with a public personality has a responsibility to show humility and grace.
Global News Morning host Bill Welychka has written an autobiography about his career as a Canadian television host, dating back to his days at Much Music. It includes behind-the-scenes stories, while interviewing countless celebrities from the music world. The book, titled A Happy Has-Been, is already available on Amazon, as well as his website, billwelychka.ca. He'll also be hosting a book launch party on September 9th at the Tiernanog.
Very excited, just solidified plans for a Kingston book launch. It'll be at the Tiernanog Saturday, September 9th. It'll start at 3 p.m. Some special guests will be there, and hopefully you'll be there. And partial proceeds from the book will go to the White Ribbon Campaign, which is ending men's violence against women, and various women's shelters across Canada. And free admission on the day of the book launch at the Tiernanog, because I just want people to give what they can and pay at the door, and all proceeds will go to the Interval House here in Kingston.
Bill Welychka joins us. The name of the new book, A Happy Has-Been. Nice to see you, sir.
How are you doing, John?
That takes some moxie to title a memoir, A Happy Has-Been.
I love talking about it. I get asked about it a lot, and I have no problem admitting that for a lot of people, after Much Music, after Much More Music, I fell off the face of the earth, man. To them, I have never left television. I've always worked in television. I went to Edmonton to co-host a breakfast television show when they rebranded it as City TV. Did that for a year. I was in Ottawa for 5 or 6 years doing weather anchoring for a CTV Bell Media affiliate. And I've been in Kingston the past 11, 12 years working for Global Kingston. And I think the title, I love it because it does address the issue that for a lot of people, you know, out of sight, out of mind, I fell off the face of the earth. Where are you now? But then there have been people who follow me, which blows me away from day one. And they know where I am now. And there's a large portion of people here in Kingston that watch who don't know about my journalism background. One of the important things for me is I'm happiest now than I ever have been. And it's nothing to do with the size of the audience. It's just about connecting with the audience that's available. And I learned that a long time ago.
Okay, well, I'll want to close the loop, actually, at the end of the interview and come back to that thought. But I wanted to ask you if you remember the first music video that you ever saw. I do. I remember they used to run a video as part of SCTV on Friday nights, and they showed Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads. And I thought, oh, my God, this is amazing. Do you remember your introduction to music videos?
My very first music video, I think, when I think back, are we counting live performances from Howard Cosell's show?
You can if you want, if that was a marker for you.
Bay City Rollers on the Howard Cosell show. He had I think it lasted 1 or 2 seasons, and it was the Bay City Rollers introduction to North America. And it was in the early 70s, maybe 75 or something. It was around the same time as Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack. And there was something about that performance, about the switching and the lighting and the audio and the screaming girls, and that made me fall in love with music and how it was presented on TV. If we're talking probably marketing videos, probably Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody, maybe Blondie's Heart of Glass.
What was it like then to be part of, because, you know, like I listen to American satellite radio, and a lot of the people who were the first generation of the video jockeys are now hosting radio shows. In Canada, you know, people can reel off probably, you know, 4 or 5 of the video jockeys who were a part of the formative period. So what was that like for you?
I used to watch much like anyone else when I was a kid in high school. Like anyone else, I rushed home to watch it. Erica M., Michael Williams, Steve Anthony,
Yes.
Christopher Ward. And then working at Much as an editor and being hired as an editor, because I sort of fell into the on-air stuff, but getting a chance to work with these people and then falling into the on-air thing was awesome. Of course, all the traveling, I met everyone I've ever wanted to, but I never gave up on the behind-the-scenes stuff. I have never walked away from editing or producing. I love it. I love the process of telling a story, using pictures, using an interview, using music, moving things around. To me, that's a huge thrill. I've always done that with hour specials or 5 or 6 minute segments. But the idea of editing and watching other people's interviews, I think, gave me a bit of an advantage to see what works, what doesn't, how to approach delicate subject matter in some cases. I sort of learned all that I did from editing, all of a sudden stepping in front of the camera. So you go into an interview with maybe 4 or 5 topics that you want to hit. Sometimes you hit them, sometimes 6 minutes goes by and you didn't even ask any of the questions that you really wanted to. It became a great conversation, a fun conversation. Much allowed you to do that. It was great. There was no writers. There was no someone, offering questions for you to ask. It was total free reign, and it's a time and period that will never be replicated ever again, sadly.
Okay, well, that's worth hitting on. Moses Namer, in all of his work, he was about trying to take the stuffing out of television, about taking a guy who was delivering letters in a building and telling him, you're going to be the cameraman today. How much do you think that liberated television and made it a much more intuitive, natural medium?
You saw the results of it almost immediately around the world with the presentation of newscasts, with no sets, no desk, no anchor desk. Anchors were in the middle of a working newsroom, and it gave it that immediate feel where the anchor would walk over to the assignment editor and ask what he's working on for the late news. Like little things like that. You were immediately drawn into this environment. It almost made it three-dimensional as opposed to a two-dimensional set. When I look back now and look at what Moses, in the truest sense, a visionary, what he created, again, never replicated. It has sort of influenced the look of some outlets, but they never quite got it right. What YouTube was is what Speaker's Corner was. What Denise Donlin tried to introduce to Much Music when she became the director of music programming was, it wasn't just entertainment. It wasn't frivolous. It actually meant something, and it related to community standards. There was this push for being inclusive, and inclusive is a buzzword now in the entertainment industry. But Denise and Moses were doing that back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it's not until you remove yourself from that situation where you can actually look back and remember and recall all these things and how groundbreaking it was.
I am reliably told, mind you, that a lot of Speaker's Corner was people masturbating.
Well, end of year office parties would feature sometimes some outtakes from Speaker's Corner. I didn't see any masturbation. There was a job one time. I think we saw lots of boob flashes. And occasionally you had some guy with his take on local politics or something. But yeah, the Christmas party always had interesting outtakes from Speaker's Corner. I still maintain they could have done a midnight version of it.
I always hate it when people say, what's your favorite interview? Because that's a toughie. So I'll just ask you if there are memorable conversations, or at the very least, like I had an interview with David Bowie and it was awful, but I still sat with David Bowie for 10 minutes. So that's good enough for me.
Yeah, he's a tough interview.
Yeah, he decides right away if he likes you or doesn't.
John, I'm sorry. I had a great time with Bowie. Interviewed him a number of times. Always a great interview. But anyone that I had, you know what? This is funny. Anyone that I had a patch on my jean jacket in high school of, anyone that I had a poster of in my bedroom, a poster in my locker in high school, buttons on my jean jacket, every single artist that I was a fan of when I was a younger person, I got a chance to interview, spend some time with, and never disappointed. I'm talking about, like, Led Zeppelin. I had a Led Zeppelin patch on the back of my jean jacket. I managed to spend amazing times with all the live remaining members of Led Zeppelin. And it's a perfect circle. And there's a lot of perfect circles in the book. Now, it's important for me to let you know, John, that I really didn't want this to be the ramblings of some old guy that says, hey, let me tell you about that time where I interviewed Bowie or was at Madonna's house. No, the book works on a much different level. But yeah, great question. And I have had a chance to interview every single one of my idols, and that never ceases to amaze me. And I'm forever blessed, and I will not ever be not grateful for that opportunity.
Thanks a lot for this.
John, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, sir.